Hey Brett, can you hear me and see me okay? If so, you probably just chatted in a thread. Hey Alex, looks like you're on the chat. Add to stream here. Can you hear me?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Cool, I can hear you. Let me bump up the volume. Looks like Brett is also on, and I think he can hear us.
Cool.
I don't know. I don't know if it's just on my end or not. Alex, can you say a few words, and then Brett, can you let us know if you can hear Alex? Okay.
What's up, Brett? Can you hear me? He says yes. Can you
Cool.
hear me?
There we go.
Honey?
Yeah, it's a little bit better now.
All right.
So it'd be interesting to see if this thing records or not. I don't know if it gets recorded and uploaded to YouTube, and so I'm gonna not record my screen. Actually, yeah, since we already started, I'm not gonna record my screen. We're just gonna see how this first session goes, and then if it doesn't record, then I'll record a screen or upgrade my StreamYard
Cool.
live stream and kind of go from there.
Yeah. Sounds good.
I don't know if you have any brought any baits with you or not, but I brought a few hard baits, swim baits. I mean, I figure it's just us talking and chatting and catching up and whatnot.
Yep. I got a couple things laying around. I can grab some stuff real quick if you want.
Yeah, that'd be good. Just
Okay.
hey, Brett, I just saw your comment. What do you mean? Like at the end, it should prompt you? Does that like meaning saving or? Cool. Thanks, Brett. I'm glad you're on, man. Looks trying to figure out how many other people I got on live with whiskey. I see. Yeah.
All right. Got a couple things to show off.
Cool. Cool. Wonder why we got that echo. Let me close out of this just in case.
Is that echo coming from me?
It looked like it stopped. I had a YouTube tab open, and so I don't know if it was from that or not.
Gotcha.
We're right at 7 o'clock. I say we officially get started around 7:05. So
Cool. Sounds good.
got a nice fresh haircut there.
Yep. Just today.
Man, look at that. I didn't know if it's because I hadn't seen you in a while.
No, I just got a wedding to go to this weekend, so I got to get all lined up, you know.
Man, you've been busy the last couple of weekends.
Yeah, we're headed to Greenville for the weekend. Good little drive. There's a couple of tackle stores over there I'm going to try to visit.
You have you heard about them before? Or you just kind of do a Google search?
I just looked around on Google and looked at the ones that either had the least reviews or had the most interesting pictures.
Cool. Actually, while we have a few minutes, let me try to do. I'm gonna do a screen share, and we'll see. Share screen.
Not on your main camera. I'm surprised.
Not my main camera.
Yeah, the nice one.
Yeah, I actually have it hooked up to the computer. I'm not in the. There's probably no depth and whatnot behind me on the wall, so maybe that's why it doesn't look nearly as cool. Share screen. I wonder if I should do. Maybe I should do a screen tab, and then we can do Navionics. See what that looks like.
Yep.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's nice.
Then I guess when I go to this view, I can't see myself, but that's not important. But like, for an example, if we wanted to go and look at, I think that's Cordell Hole right here, right? Yeah, or Del Hollow.
Yeah, there's Del Hollow.
Where all the big smallmouth are at these days.
There are many. That is true.
Let's see. Stop screen.
He's not necessarily a buddy, but a guy I know caught 28.99 pounds out there the weekend I was there.
Dang.
Yeah.
29 pounds. But I thought it was interesting in your video. You're like, and I don't see a go live. Let me try to help Mike here. Actually, Brett, I know you're on. I'm not sharing my screen, so let me see if I can. I'm on YouTube. Try the link. Thanks, Brett. I'm getting some people joining. Sure. Let me see if I can. I'll test out my little banner here. Check this thing out. Let me see. Show. Whoa! Look at that.
Yeah, real deal.
Real deal. And I think you see like the little StreamYard logo here in the top right-hand corner.
Yeah.
I think if you like pay $100 a year or whatever, then you put your own logo.
Yep.
They loop you in with these little free deals.
Sweet. What's up?
But you were saying someone caught almost 29 pounds.
Yeah, like right at 29. I think they had a 7-pound largemouth.
Dude, Alan, you joined. I'm glad you got the link, man. I sent the link to like 2 or 3 folks just to kind of give this a test run. So
yeah, I've seen him on my channel a few times. Appreciate it.
Yeah, he actually put a video together not too long ago. I think he was catching some white bass or whatnot, and he's got a nice little tracker there.
Sweet.
I got the little squawking bird now since I'm talking and I'm not talking to her. So of course she's gonna make a bunch of noise when I'm live.
That's all good.
Let me see, man. Well, I had 4. Like someone just dropped. Let me see. I'll give it another 2 minutes before we get started.
Cool.
Dude, my brother just left for Bass Pro. I told him that we might go to Del Hollow this weekend, and he was going to go look for some goby stuff. So I'm not sure if that's a good strategy or not.
Ain't no gobies up there.
So what do you think they think the little Ned rig is then?
Could be anything. Could be a little leech. Could be a little worm, invertebrate.
A leech?
To my knowledge, there are not gobies in that lake.
I don't know. Maybe it's imitating a leech.
Could be. Yeah. Salamanders, there's all sorts of stuff down there that we don't ever see.
They're on those bluff walls at 70 feet down.
It's amazing, dude. You can be like 20 feet off of the bank and it's 60 feet deep.
And you throw like a little Ned rig out there. I don't know what weight you were using, but remember you're like dead sticking it there for a little bit, and then next thing you know, like, oh, I got something.
But, we started out the day trying to be a little bit more like trying to power fish, the A-rig and, slinging the crankbait around, stuff like that. But it's like there's not wind, even though you have clouds. You just feel how high pressure these fish can get with the weather and the clear water. So you feel stupid throwing like a, moving bait.
Because you think they can see that they can see the lure a little bit more, and if you had like wind, kind of something breaking up the water, then it looks more real.
Well, there's this really great book written by kind of a legend up there. It's called Them Old Brownfish, and it talks about this dude was a legend on Del Hollow. I forget his name now.
You said this is a book?
Yeah, I can go grab it here in a second. It's like a legendary book about this dude who wrote it. But he always used to talk about just like the fish are more comfortable when the surface is disturbed, just because they can't look up and see everything that's happening up there. When there's a little bit of wind or breeze or chop, they're just more comfortable.
Yeah, let me Alan. I thought Alan was just on. Let me try to squeeze in the link here. Is that a free Tackle Warehouse shirt there after you spend so much money?
It's my free $300 Tackle Warehouse shirt. Most expensive shirt I own.
Is it nice and comfy, like the soft cotton?
Yeah. They do a decent job with the shirts.
Nice.
Brett says mic is on.
Yeah, there's a total of 4 viewers here. I can't tell who's all on, but you want to try to grab that book and then we can get started?
Yeah.
So Brett, tonight I'm drinking some Willet. I'm not sure if you had that or not, but it's not the one in the little kettle pot, but figure it'd help take the edge off tonight. Yeah, Brett, I know you recently picked up some new gear from Tackle Warehouse. I think you picked up a Dobbins rod. Is that for the A rig?
We're back.
Cool. All right, man. So I think we got Alan, Brett, and Mike. So it's just the 4 of us for now. But if others join, great. We're officially 9 minutes in. So I think if those that are going to plan on joining have joined, and so if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're watching this later, I'm testing out my first live stream event here with Alex Roberts from Alex Roberts Fishing. We spent a lot of time fishing here in Middle Tennessee. And Alex just got back from a Dale Hollow trip last weekend. So I figured we start about that. And really tonight it's just an informal chat with Alex because I haven't talked to Alex in a few weeks. And so we're just going to chat winter of bass fishing. If you have questions, comments, concerns, feel free to put them in the chat and I'll try to keep up with it. Welcome, guys.
Awesome.
Yeah. So Alex, you just grabbed the book because we were just talking about Dale Hollow.
Yeah.
What do you got? Did you see who it was written by?
So I feel bad for forgetting this, but it's Billy Westmoreland. And if you drive through the town of Salina, however you want to pronounce it, that's really the closest town to Dale Hollow, and that's where Billy grew up. There's a little mural of him on one of the buildings, but it's called Them Old Brown Fish. Hopefully you can see that okay. Them Old Brown Fish, there's Billy Westmoreland. So this is, I would describe it as a really long narrative that's sort of it's like a dictation of Billy's stories and thoughts on fishing. So he fished some BASS events back in the day. I mean, I'm talking like 20 years after the lake was filled. So this is back in like the 60s.
Back in Mike's times.
Yeah, right. Back in the ancient times of Mike and Brett Michaels. But he's got some really great kind of old school thoughts on fish behavior. This is before, obviously. I mean, this is like barely 2D sonar, maybe. This is way, way back. So, these are really a collection of stories and thoughts about fishing. There is some like technical, technique information in there and stuff, which is cool. But it just offers a really interesting perspective. You got the guys reacting in that chat here. Offers a really interesting, like old school grounded perspective on fishing information. So copies of this book, Them Old Brown Fish, they go for like $100 on eBay. Luckily, my buddy Kevin Lamb, he loaned this one to me. So once I read it, it will go back to his shelf. But it's an awesome book.
Cool. And you were out fishing with Kevin last week, and I think I heard on one of your video you're talking about how it's a highland reservoir, right? It's a lot of steep banks, and almost everything looks the same. So I feel like one of y'all strategies was to look for transitions in the bank. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's it, not being a local up there, it is a pretty large body of water. What's up? Shout out Tuscaloosa. Not too far from Birmingham, where I used to live. But yeah, Dale Hollow is, one of those places that unless you're a local, it's really hard to make decisions out there because most of the areas we were fishing, one side of the lake is just gravel banks with points, and we're sticking in the main lake since it's winter. The other side is mostly chunk rock. There's some shale, there's some steeper stuff, but if you can target those areas where it switches from either one rock type to another, or maybe it's real steep and then a cut bank comes in, something like that, just something for those fish to gravitate to. Because, like I said earlier, you can be sitting 15, 20 feet off the bank and it's already 60 foot deep. So without forward facing sonar, you just hop between stuff that looks good and guess and grind it out. And it ended up in one fish this past weekend, but sometimes you do a lot better than that. So
Yeah. So I picked up one of the things that you mentioned there. We're talking winter bass fishing, and you said you stayed around the main lake. You feel like that's kind of like a pattern most people know, or you feel like that's a high percentage pattern?
I would say most people know about, this time of year. It's kind of funny how the bass in general, the book says, not this book necessarily, but the book on bass fishing talks about how they move throughout the seasons and throughout the year. So in the extreme cold and the extreme heat, they're seeking the most stable water temperature. And where it's the deepest is where it's going to be the most stable. Even some of the most stable water temperatures are when lakes are iced over, because there's just not a lot of change that happens. So um, out in that deeper water, the other part of it is they relate to really steep stuff, because all they have to do is move their tail like this and they can move 3 or 4 feet, rather than when you're up in a creek, a lot of the times it's a lot more shallow and you're going to have to put more effort into moving. So
No, I think that's a good way to look at it. I know Brett can only stay on for a little bit, so maybe we can kind of talk a little bit about like the A rig. I know when we first met, you were able to get on some nice smallmouth on Percy Priest Lake here in Middle Tennessee
yeah.
on the A rig, and so just a high level overview. If you had to give like 2 or 3 tips for folks that are new to throwing the A rig, what type of tips would you give them?
My number one tip is use braid. So honestly, mostly for the reason that when you fish an A rig, you're going to get hung up at some point. And with the braid, you have a much higher chance of getting it back. So whether you straighten the hooks out or you just get it out of that, whatever it is, that braid is just so much stronger than, a 20-pound fluoro or something like that. So I fish my A rig on 65-pound braid. You don't have to go that heavy. I know Kevin likes 50. But that's my number one tip, is fishing on braid for that reason of, especially when you're new, fishing it shallow or letting it sink and waiting till it hits the bottom. You're going to get really frustrated losing those things. Another thing I would say is jig heads are really important. Once you get that fish to react on that rig, having the right hook and the right swim bait head to get them in the boat is important too. So I prefer the dirty jigs, Matt Allen swim bait heads. They've got a pretty heavy hook, so straightening them out is difficult. But when you get a bite, I mean, it's just coming in the boat.
Is there a certain kind of weight that you like to use for the jig heads, and you keep all 3 hooks the same? We're here in Tennessee, we can only use 3 hooks, correct?
Right. So I throw 8 ounce if I'm fishing up to probably 10 feet or so. Once you get past that 10-foot mark, I'll put either 3/8 or a half ounce, something like that, in the middle, because it'll keep that rig stable, but it'll sink it faster down the water column.
Yeah. Is there a certain speed reel you like to use? Do you tend to gravitate more like a faster speed reel or a slower speed reel, or you don't think it really matters?
I guess it's probably a pretty average. I think he uses 7.4 to 1 Corrado. So that's not, screaming it in. It's also not slowing it down. It depends, how you're fishing. If you're fishing it really shallow, 7.4 is perfect. Some of the fishing I do for like the stripe out on Old Hickory, that's throwing it out there and counting it down to 25, 30 feet and then just slow rolling it. And I do have some problems just crawling that reel, as I'm rolling it on the bottom. So using 4-color changing line. Any idea what that's about, Johnny? You see in the chat there?
Yeah, so I think those 4 color changing lines, a lot of the folks that troll will use those lines, and it helps them like figure out how far,
Right.
um,
Yeah.
how much line you have left. I know I spent some time with Merv out from Nashville Fishing Guides, and
Yeah.
he's told me the system that he uses, but I can't think of it on top of my head. But typically, Alan, I feel like people are using that when they're trolling. With the way we fish, we kind of cast them out there, and so I'm not sure if that's what you're looking for, but I think that's what you're talking about.
Got it.
Hey, I think Wade is on. So Wade, if you're listening and watching, welcome. I was just talking to Alex about the A rig, and Wade, I think you own Thunder Rocket Lures, and you have an A rig out, and I think you got a very unique setup there with the 3 wires. Alex, I don't know if you have any of those available. I don't have any with me right now, but I've got to throwing it around some, and so I'm not sure if you want to talk a little bit about that.
So my actual Thunder rig is down in my car with all my other fishing stuff. That thing is awesome. I've thrown it a couple times now, and in some of the areas around us, especially Old Hickory, you get that weird kind of brown tinge to the water, and an A rig's really, in my opinion, a clear water bait. And so when you get that dinge, it feels really hard to throw that rig with confidence. But with that Thunder rig, I've got a Thunder bait sitting here, which is slightly different. But shout out to Wade for giving me this one. So the same Thunder blade here. That's the Thunder Rocket is really what makes the difference on these baits. It's a unique blade sort of thing. It spins and rattles at the same time, so it draws that fish even more on the Thunder Rocket there. But shout out Bob or Dan. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, I think what's really neat about that Thunder rig is like I don't feel like any other lure company has that, and so I feel like it's something totally different than the fish are not used to seeing.
Yeah, I really think that kind of noisemaker part of it is a big deal, and I think it's the next big thing in A-rig fishing. That's been around for a number of years now, and the product has gotten better, but there haven't been any significant changes to it until now. So I did a video about it, but I really think it's the next big thing.
Yeah. Hey, Brad, I really appreciate you joining. I know you probably only have a few more minutes, but if you can throw a question in the chat for me that we have a topic to talk about, maybe we can cover it here in a little bit if you have a moment. Let's see here. We got a few folks chiming in, so it's
awesome.
A small group. Yeah, it's fun. Just kind of catching up. Like I said, it's been I haven't fished with you all year long, man.
Yeah, I know, right? It's about to be that busy time, man. It's about to be that time where we text each other and it's like, hey, you want to fish this weekend? Well, I'm going 6 hours away to a tournament. Sorry.
So on that topic, when is your next tournament?
Got one. The first one of the year is coming up on January 28th. Let's see, BFL Choo-Choo Division on Smith Lake in Alabama.
Nice. And you fished in this division before and you fished this lake?
I have. I've not fished I've not fished a BFL at Smith, but I fished a couple times in other tournaments, and I did some Choo-Choo Division tournaments last year.
Now, I'm assuming you're already like preparing tackle, and I mean, I guess running winter patterns, and so I guess you just kind of gathering all those items together.
Yeah, as a co, practice is kind of hard to. It's hard to do because you never know what you're going to do. When you get there, your boater makes all the decisions, but I've got things I want to throw. I've got things that I have confidence in. Got Brett asking, what size weight was I using on the net at Dale Hollow? How did I fish it? I'm trying to think of what the weight was. I think it was 1/6 of an ounce. Is not a tiny one, but also not like a quarter probably would have been better. But I really like the way that those Neds pendulum down and kind of spiral as they're falling. If you got fish around you and they see that thing falling, a lot of times it'll draw them in with that slow fall. And how did I fish it?
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Just wait. And if you notice on that, fished a haul once last year, nailed a huge crappie, but smallies kicked my butt. That lake is so massive. Yeah, it is. That's one of those lakes where you have to pick an area or a creek and just stick to that for the day. If you we were just jumped around from place to place, mostly in the lower portion of the lake, and I don't know how efficient it is to do that. But when you're on the main lake like that, it's one of your only options. You can only fish a point or an area for so long. So, but it is a big lake.
What size line and color net head?
Let's throw in, let's see, 10-pound Seagar Smackdown braid to a 10-pound InvisX leader, and there's a green head with a California Craw TRD. Nice.
Now, is there any thoughts around like what color head you like to use, or is it just kind of like what you have, or certain colors you have more confidence in? And because I think Doug and I have convinced Mike to start throwing the Ned rig around a little bit, and so maybe Mike can also pick up some tips here.
Yeah, I think of it sort of like flipping weights. I don't know that it matters all that much. If you've got really clear water, I may stick to more green, especially if I'm throwing a green pumpkin brown bait. But honestly, I don't know that it matters all that much. I have seen the guys who use the like bright neon heads and the red heads sometimes. Those have their place, like either dirty water. I know that the red colored head has a place certain times in the spring. But Mike's asking where we launched. Did I send you a link to that? It's the Cedar Hill launch, same one we used last year, Mike. It's a real easy ramp to launch from.
But you said that ramp's kind of long.
It is, especially when the water's down like this at Winter Pool. It's, I don't know, 75, maybe 70, 75 feet long. So you gotta be. It's not brave, but you gotta know what you're doing when you're back in the trailer. It's not like you just dump it in. You gotta be careful backing it all the way down there.
Yeah. Cool. And then I thought it was interesting. You'd been doing some trout fishing. You're using a similar. You're using that bass rod, right? Too. I know. I want to say last outing you went and used a bass rod, but prior to that, you used like a smaller type rod.
Yeah. So said, dude, Mike says, dude, it's a mile long. Yeah, that's a serious ramp. But yes, on the trout stuff, the reason I like to use the bass rod is because it's a 7 foot, and on that floating jig head trout magnet setup, you just have a lot more leverage because it's like casting a Carolina rig. If you've ever done that, you know the weight of the bait is actually further up on the line. So to get leverage to actually accurately cast, having a longer rod is a lot easier. And then with the ultralight setup, when I'm throwing the rooster tails that are either a sixth or an eighth of an ounce, just being able to really have that really flexible tip and shoot that thing out there across the river is perfect.
Yeah. Speaking of weights, Brett mentioned asked about missile baits on a 1/4 ounce head. Um, I've tried some of those missile bait jigs, and they're tiny. I
Yep.
know the small ones, like the 1/8 ounce. I had to throw on a spinning rod. I don't know if I've thrown a 1/4 ounce, but I mean, I feel like Brett, they work really well in the Cumberland River. With some of
Yeah.
those bass that we catch out there.
Yeah. And, anything like that, downsize in that clearer water, I think that would definitely work. One thing that I recently purchased that I'm really looking forward to fishing is this spot remover finesse jig. So if you guys are familiar with the spot remover shaky heads, they are phenomenal for fishing heavy rock. They've got this really unique head style. If you guys can see it, okay.
Oh
Um,
wow, yeah, I hadn't really seen that.
they make a skirted version, and one of my boaters on Pickwick at the regional last year was throwing these. And I'm just, just setting it up like this. Didn't that look good?
Yeah,
So I'll definitely be throwing this on Smith. Looking forward to that. But I think this is another good thing for Dale Hollow.
we got a question from Alan there about the thresh. I think that's how you say it. Is it the Threshers or Thrashers 4.2? I think that's the
Yeah.
local guy, right? That makes that.
Yeah, those are Torrent Outdoors. John Nelson runs that company, and I can tell you those threshers look really good on the A rig. I leave them alone. You can cut some of the appendages off and kind of edit to bait to do kind of whatever you want it to do. But the way that they swim naturally is just a little bit more subtle than a Kitech, but they still got really nice fluidity. They're not real stiff, so definitely love pairing those two things together, especially because they're both local companies.
Yeah. So I think you kind of talked a little bit about the movement of that thresher. And do you feel like that's like a good wintertime type pattern because in the winter things don't move around as much as similar with the like crawls, right? You don't want anything like too flappy. And so probably same thing with the swim baits, right? You don't want anything like kicking too much. Maybe you can elaborate a little on that.
Yeah, um, I do agree with that. As far as an A rig goes, I don't know that having more or less action really matters as much as we think.
Blade.
There's all the wire everywhere. You're throwing it on braid. Like, does it really matter all that much? I don't know to the fish, but I just like the way they look. Honestly, in the water, they look phenomenal. I don't know if you've fished them very much, but they look really good.
Yeah, I haven't got my hands on them yet. And then before Brett drops off here, I want to talk one more thing about creek fishing because I know you've done some of that, and I used to do that a few years ago. But
Yep.
talking about catching smallmouths and whatnot, any tips or any cool experience from fishing on the creeks?
Yeah, this summer I did a little bit of it, not as much as I wanted to. But definitely on the Hellgramites in the creeks, absolutely. That's a big thing locally. The Nico is what they're called. You can see them in the chat here. But creek fishing is cool because you take one rod, you don't worry about anything else happening in the world. You're not worried about, when I go out and fish, I'm really analytical. I'm really focused. I'm trying to figure out the bite. And when you creek fish, it's just you and a little bit of water and some fish. So love doing that for sure. We got some other questions coming in here.
Yeah,
Question:
waves.
If you use an A rig in an actual creek, thoughts on a tiny swim bait like under 4 inches? Yes. I think, is it Live Target that makes that little bait ball?
Yeah, well, Mike caught something on that. Maybe he can mention something on the comments thread there. Yeah, it's a cute little A rig.
Yeah, it's like I hate to call it finesse, but it's like a precision A rig.
Yeah.
I could see it working. I mean, the thing about fishing an A rig in a creek is you don't see those big schools of minnows, going with each other and then freaking out like you do with the A rig. You see a lot of smaller schools kind of in a line swimming around. So a single swim bait, I would definitely be like a 2.8 Kitech. Love throwing those on just a simple jig head in the creek.
Yeah, let me try to share my screen. I'll bring up Tackle Warehouse. Maybe kind of practice this right here. Share screen, because there was one I was really getting them on. Chrome tab.
Swim bait head or
What's that?
a swim bait head or what?
Yeah, Kitech swim bait. Let me see.
We got Wade saying my YouTube name. That's my main thing I do. So Wade Fisherman. I just recently brought some waders, and they're life changing for the wade fishing for sure. Tons of spinning baits. Cool.
This right here, man, the Kitech Easy Shiners right here. This is the deal. Like I get these little 3-inch ones. They're really soft, so I can go through them. When you catch fish. But if you haven't tried any of these guys, any type of shad pattern or green pumpkin, anything, man, these things
I
work.
feel like those are a little bit tougher than the fat swing impact.
Tougher, you think so? Like holding up those?
I think so. I think without that ribbing, the structural integrity is just better.
Cool. All right, cute my ass. That's what I love about chatting with y'all guys, man. See, we can kind of poke on each other and have fun.
Mike, does it catch more than one, or did you only catch one on that, Mike? It says, shoot my ass, it catches fish. Is that plural or is that singular? Because I only remember hearing about one.
Brett's like, love the Ned Crawl TRD on an extra wide gap Ned head. I think all I'm going to use is extra wide gaps in the winter and culling, man. I feel like, you get hung up so easily out there. And so luckily I'm pouring my own these days and don't mind losing them. But
any exposed hook in that river, man, for something like you can crank a little bit, but you're just risking losing dollars going away, every time you cast.
Speaking of cranking, what crankbait you on this time of year?
I throw a DT year round. Of course, I'm going to have that always. But one of the things I'm going to switch to is the OG series of stuff. So this is actually a custom painted one, done by Hog. What's that?
Is that the Rocco or is that
no?
the OG?
This is just the OG Slim 6.
Nice. So 6-footer. You get somebody local to paint it?
Yeah, it's a guy named. I believe his company name is Hog Chow Baits. I bought this at Harpeth River Outfitters, which if you're in Middle Tennessee and you haven't been there yet in Pegram, go. It's worth it. I drive like 40 minutes there. It's 100% worth it. And yeah, so this is actually, here's a DT6 in the Demon color, which is, if you know, great color this time of year. And then this is the custom painted Slim in Demon. So you can't get these at the store in the Demon color, but you can get them custom. And I'm really excited to throw this thing and this thing.
The DT6 has more wobble than the Slim, right?
It does, but it still catches them, I promise.
Nice. And then you're using like the Johnny Morris Bass Pro rod on that, or the cranking rod?
What's up, Gordo? Appreciate you jumping in.
Dude, you made it.
I know. It's exciting. I throw the flat sides on my square bill rod just because it allows them to have, some nice, easy action. I like that Bass Pro cranking rod. It's got a really great grip. It's got good flexibility. It's good versatile rod. So Harpeth is like a local tackle outfitters. Yep, absolutely. Harpeth River Outfitters is indeed awesome. Not awesome for your wallet, but
Yeah.
that's the point.
Dude, is Gordo still on here? I thought I saw his comment. Oh yeah, he's Faith in Fishing. Dude, man, y'all want to talk about somebody catch them, man. Gordo guides for I think it's Brian Carper. Is it just Brian Carper's fishing, whatnot?
Yep. Yep.
And Gordo's been catching them, man, whether they're hybrids or bass.
Yeah.
I feel like he just went down to Chick too and caught some good ones out there. So it's amazing. You can go out there and new body of water and still catch them.
I think he's one of the better guys with forward-facing sonar in our kind of little area here. Not that he can't catch them any other way, but I think that I know whenever you can get on fish like that, any other species, he's a hammer.
3-star smallie has come from.
Yeah. Yep. That's the patch and the hat that Harpeth makes.
Cool.
I think my bookmark actually might be that exact sticker. Let's look. Oh yeah, yep. There you go. Look at that.
Nice. And that guy that owns that shop is super cool too, right?
Yeah, Chris. His name's Chris Odom. Super nice guy. He will talk to you as long as you want about tackle and stories and everything.
And he's got big baits too.
Is that the 8?
I like it. Mike and Doug are like, dude, we catch fish that are this size, but man,
Yeah.
I'm gonna catch something. Yeah, this is the 8-inch.
Nice.
Then I got some hard baits too, but man, like those hard baits, they sit up so high in the water column, and so I don't think those fish are this time of year going to come up and feed on them. But they look really neat in the water. I think it'd be interesting to see that though the hard baits on Old Hickory around that grass.
Yeah, definitely. And we found some deep grass in Dale Hollow that looked amazing, but could not get fish to come out of it.
Dude, you even threw out the rattle trap I saw, man.
Oh yeah. There's always a bite for a trap somewhere.
Dude, speaking of rattle traps, man, I think one of those sessions, I think Ike and Ellie's going to talk about it, right? And at Bass University. So maybe you can kind of talk to the guys about that. That's on, for the 6 people that's on about like upcoming seminar.
Yeah, so I'm sure most of y'all have heard of Bass University. I think Ike actually founded it a few years ago. They do a ton of videos online. It's actually a really great resource for video learning with all sorts of pros on all sorts of subjects. If you want to learn something about bass fishing, they've got a class on it, an online webinar most of the time. But this upcoming in a couple weeks here, they're doing in-person classes, which they haven't done in a few years because of the pandemic. I used to go to them a couple of years ago, and they are just an awesome opportunity to go and get like hour and a half in-depth in-person courses on bass fishing. So I think I sent you guys the list of courses, but Ike's going to be there. Ryan Salzman's going to be there talking about swim baits, one of the best current TVA swim bait guys in our region. And then Matt Herron, who's just like, if you're an old school guy, you know who Matt Herron is. He's been around the sport for a long time. And anytime you can get in-person live knowledge from these guys, it's just invaluable.
I don't know, Mike, can you drop a comment if you know who Matt Herron is?
I bet he does.
And you said somebody else was throwing swim baits, like big swim baits?
Yeah, Salzman. He's Salzy is what we call him. But he is fantastic on the Tennessee River up in these tail races, throwing big swim baits for big smallmouth and largemouth too. But up in the Wilson tail race, the Wheeler tail race, he's a hammer.
So in the tail race, so he's like right below the dam, like fishing that super sketchy water.
Some of it is real sketchy, but he's been doing it for so long. He knows all the places to go. And yeah, of course, Mike knows who Matt Herron is. But yeah, he does this. I've actually talked to Brett about him a little bit, just because he does guiding here locally. And if you want to get on some big Tennessee River smallmouth, Salzman's the guy to go to.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Might have to look them up then.
Absolutely.
Do you have some other baits kind of falling around over there? Anything you want to share with the group?
Anything I want to share? I don't want to share any of this, but I will. No, I'm just kidding. I think I'm going to be throwing the Willow Vibe around a little bit. you've probably seen these.
Yeah, I tried to throw him. Maybe it was like too light for me, but it kept on like rising up on me, and so I don't know if I was fishing.
I think you
What?
gotta slow down for them and use kind of a heavier trailer probably. Looks like Gordo's headed back to Chick looking for those 10-pounders. They're in there. They sure
Dude,
are in there.
I would love to see a double-digit fish, man. I know
Heck yeah.
if anybody can catch them, Gordo, you can find them, man.
Yeah. Just give him some time. He'll figure it out. But yeah, looking at these, kind of I hate to say the word finesse for a power fisherman, but finesse chatterbaits, swimming them around docks, around cover, stuff like that on Smith with that clear water. And anytime it's, basically November on until March, and, you can catch them year round. But the jerkbait, of course, this is the +2, Megabass Vision 110 +2, which is a deeper diving jerkbait. A lot of guys throw the Vision 110 and even the +1, but the +2 is also deadly if you're targeting that 10 to 12 foot range. Let's see. Any of you two ever want to wade some awesome rivers and creeks? Yes, absolutely. I do.
Fishing pressure is high, right, and hot.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like in the summertime, that's kind of my deal. And Bram Bass and Beyond says Salzy's the man. His true bass swim baits are great on the Tennessee River. That's right. What else we got here? Berkley Money. Have you seen is it the Money Badger that Berkley's put out?
I wonder if I can start to find it on here on Tackle.
I've seen some guys catching them pretty good on that Money. I think it's called the Money Badger.
Let me see. Just Berkley Money. It didn't come up. I don't know if you want to try to find it on your side. If Berkley.
Let's see.
Oh yeah, I see it here.
You got it?
Yeah, you got to be able to spell it right. Show screen. Share screen. Chrome tab.
So Wade says, for finesse, I've been using handmade custom jigs by James Winsett. Is that a local guy here in Tennessee, or give us some more info there? Give us the juice.
I wonder what makes this. Do you know what makes this crankbait so special, Alex?
I don't. Can you look at the bill shape, or does it not have a picture of that?
Yeah, it doesn't really show.
Interesting.
It looks more round too. I feel like this time of year more people are flat stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure what makes it special, honestly. I have not, to answer your question, Mike, I have not tried it yet. No. It looks like they are custom painted jigs that Wade's talking about. That's cool. Wanted to get in touch with some local guys to paint some jigs here in the future. But for now, I'll stick to stuff you can buy retail.
All right, looks like Bram Bass and Beyond likes that 110 also. And so, Bram Bass, why don't you talk a little bit about maybe in your chat, Bram Bass, maybe you like put in what you like to throw. And while you do that, Alex can kind of talk about his jerkbait pole setup.
Yeah, so this is what we're talking about here. This is, if you know about jerkbaits, you know about the Megabass Vision 110. So this is the +2, which is just basically a longer bill, which helps it dive deeper in the water column. And the thing I love about these Megabass is that when you pause them, they don't move at all. You're jerking this thing around, doing your thing with it, whatever. When it stops, it stops like this. And the reason that I like, well, first of all, the suspend is just phenomenal. It just stops. And then the other reason I really like these is when they stop, they cant up slightly. So if a fish is up here coming to look at it, if they're up down like this, he's got less of a chance to be hooked. But if they're up like this, I just hooked myself. If it's leaning up like this, if he's meandering up, look how many hook points are around to get him. So love the 110. It's 100% my confidence jerkbait. I'll fish it in any water, pretty much, unless it's real muddy. But pretty much any lake, I'm going to have 110 tied on.
What about your junior? I know you've seen me throw the junior around.
Yep, I like the junior too. I like that in more clear water settings. Like Dale Hollow would be a good example. Smith is going to be a good example where that actually the junior 110 +1 is really phenomenal. It gets down little bit deeper to that, 8 to 10, I would say, range. I throw mine on a 610 medium Jacob Wheeler Duckett rod and 7.2 gear ratio reel with 12-pound fluorocarbon, and it's awesome.
Speaking of fluorocarbon, you just picked some more, right?
I did. Yep. Seaguar was on sale just a few weeks ago, and prepping for the next tournament season here, it's time to reline a lot of my reels and get them all pretty and ready for the next couple of months. So
I feel like you had like 2 different spools. Are they just different pound tests?
yeah. So I fish 15 a lot for a lot of things. As a co-angler, I can't have 40 rods with me to be able to switch to whatever I want. So I wind on 15 a whole lot. Winding a chatterbait and a spinnerbait and stuff like that. I flip on 15, which some people think is a little light, but I've never really had any problems. About that 20 just to be flipping a little bit more serious and be fishing jigs a little bit deeper. So we'll see how it goes.
Cool. I think it's a good question from Alan there.
Yeah. Thoughts on using lipless crankbait for wintertime bass? My thought is yes. Do it.
Again, that doesn't have a whole lot of action. It's real tight.
Yeah.
And I know Mike is a lipless crankbait kind of guy and connoisseur, so he's all about that lipless. Now, what's your thoughts on the sounds, Alex? Because I feel like certain lipless crankbaits make more sound than others. Is there a particular one you like better, or just kind of depends on what the mood of the fish are?
Well, first of all, we got a question from Wade. Are we both in Tennessee? Yes, we are both in Tennessee. And we got Gordo chiming in. Lipless is what made it happen for me on Chick last week. So yes, they bite a lipless in the winter. As far as the sound goes, different baits do have a different frequency and a different number of beads or BBs or ball bearings, whatever it is in the bait. In the winter, in the colder months, I prefer a deeper frequency and a little bit less. So I like the Booyah one knocker. It's kind of my favorite wintertime. And then in the spring, in the summer, when they're schooling on fish, you want a little bit of a higher frequency, kind of fire the fish up a little bit more. Just a standard rattle trap is pretty much my favorite. In colors, I mean, if you're anywhere in the South and you're not throwing red this time of year, get on it for sure. It's not the only thing that works, but anything red wise is fantastic this time of year. Looks like you got something there, Johnny. What's that?
Yeah, I saw somebody talk about glide baits. So this is the S-Waver 168. I would love to see Gordo start throwing some big baits, and maybe seeing some pictures, some
There
fish,
you go.
guys
Got
like
the Rashi right there.
Yeah,
nice.
This one you can change the tail out.
We got some good stuff happening in the chat here. We got Brent Bassini on this time of year. I throw the Megabass Vision 110+1, a 12-foot diving crankbait, a Ned rig, and a split shot rig mainly. That's something that doesn't get talked about very much is the split shot, but it's sort of like a Carolina rig, old school, drag it, and sort of a finessey precision Carolina rig, if you will. So Gordo's talking about the Jackal. You familiar with those?
No, I'm actually trying to bring it up on
the TN60. There's different sizes, but I think the TN60 is like the standard one. I believe the Jackal one is let's see if we can find it. I believe
right?
Yeah, there you go. So I believe, yeah, there you go. So what's interesting about these is if you zoom in on the bait, look at the chin. You see that little piece of structure right there?
Yeah.
TN50 was my bait on Chick, so that's just a smaller size that Gordo's using here in the chat. The reason that guys really like that on the Tennessee River is you get these shell beds that you can find sometimes, and you can basically yo-yo that little chin will just eat into that rock and bounce right off of it better than pretty much any other lipless crankbait.
On the 70 or on all of them? Let's see. Is there a difference? I guess.
No, I think they all have that lip style. But Gordo was saying TN50 was my bait on Chick there. Very small profile. Yeah, if you got that smaller bait, for sure. That's awesome info.
See, man, I'm so glad you can join, man. Maybe we can get some other folks joining the live stream, and we'll put you in the big box, and everybody can see your nice, handsome face there, Godo. I know it was last minute, man. We tried to sync up together the other day, but had some stuff come up and didn't work
Yeah,
out. So yeah,
this is fun.
Yeah, man. What
From
else?
Best Beyond, we got Split Shot is definitely overlooked. I agree. You really don't hear about it almost at all. He says Split Shot rigged Berkeley Max sent little troopers killer this time of year. You like that bait, don't you?
Yeah, so like a split shot, like one of those like you use for like catching bluegills and crappie. Like, is that what he's talking about?
What I use for catching trout. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. No, man, I love the little trooper. Never thought about using a little split shot on it though.
Yep. We got Wade Life talking about one of my favorite hard-bodied swim baits. He says, I just got 3 of them bullshad hard-jointed swim baits. Intriguing to try them soon. Pre-spawn time around beds. Yeah, the bullshad is phenomenal. There's different models and different ways to fish them, but just the standard slow sink is my favorite. They make the baby bullshad now. I mean, they've got all sorts of different models. So
that's made by like Mike Buka, right?
Yeah, Mike Buka, the man.
Yeah, he kind of started all this stuff. Which one of these you want to click on? You think I should click on, Alex? Slow sinking, fast?
Yeah, slow sinking. The standard is kind of either the slow or the fast sinking. And then that bull wake is phenomenal as well. But that's pretty much your standard Buka bullshad. And, I know of some guys who catch them on Old Hickory with that thing. It's not as popular around where we are, but on the TVA, you better have a couple of those. And then on the creeks, if there's bigger bait fish, definitely can see that working.
Dude, one of the local guys was waiting in the creek using a bullshad and caught something. I can't think of his name right now. He fishes Del Hollow a bunch. I think Mike would know him. He's around his part of town.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, those Wade's talking about the baby ones are what he got slow sinking. Yeah, the baby bullshad. I've caught actually a lot of fish on those in ponds and stuff. They're a really good little bait fish imitator. And the other thing they'll do in a creek is they'll draw fish out of hiding places. So even if you don't actually catch them, you can figure out what the fish are relating to with those, and it's a good tool for sure.
Cool. Hey, Alex, I know we're like at 50 minutes. I'm not sure if you have to go anytime soon. I'm not sure how long my camera battery has, but just wanted to give you that time. So, but I enjoy chatting. So
whatever you want, dude. We're good.
Let's see what else, man. We got 9 folks on. We got some other folks that have in the comments. Man,
almost this week.
Man, we have to send it to your wife, get her to be the 10th person. The 10th person gets a free crankbait.
Yeah, we need someone's help. Do another giveaway here. I'm not giving away them old brown fish. I can tell you that.
Yeah. How did that giveaway go? Did that Thunder spinnerbait go to someone local?
So I've got one that went to a guy named Gary Warwick, who lives pretty close here. Another guy in Oregon, and the third guy still hasn't responded. So I've still got one sitting here, ready to be shipped out. But I got some good responses. Find our socials. Yeah. My YouTube channel is Alex Roberts Fishing. Pretty easy to find me. You can go watch my Del Hollow video that we've talked about a lot. I'm also on Instagram, and I just actually published my Facebook page, my specific Facebook fishing page today. So it's all Alex Roberts Fishing.
It's like an old Mike getting ready to go to bed. I know he's got a little cold, probably on some medicine and all the good stuff. I'm not sure if he's back in town or not. I know he's been out for the last couple of days. So appreciate you joining.
It's almost 8 o'clock. It's bedtime.
Dude, we got 10 folks, man. We got 10 people on.
Yeah, this is awesome. Hit us up in the chat if you're here. We appreciate you guys joining in. This has been kind of an impromptu, really fun thing we've done.
Yeah. While we wait for others to join, I'm gonna switch topics. When we talk, have you got to wear your Avco bib yet?
Yeah, that thing is phenomenal.
Yeah, it was kind of pricey, at least for me, because I got the insulated ones, but I'm glad I got them.
Yeah. I would say this, if you're waiting, we're talking about the AFCO Hydronaut insulated bibs. If you're waiting and kind of debating on whether to just bite the bullet, just do it. Because if you take care of those bibs, you'll be able to wear them for 10 years, I would think. And they're built really nicely, great adjustments as far as the fit, good pockets. I've got those little chest hand pockets. They've got plier pockets. I mean, I think they're going to be a game changer for cold water fishing or for cold weather fishing.
Yeah, but you also got some waders to wade in, right?
Did, yeah. Those are really just for when I'm wade fishing. You wouldn't wear insulated bibs would be quite possibly the worst thing you could wear in that situation.
Yeah, but no, they seem to work well.
Just so appreciate it, Wade Life. I'll go check you out on YouTube as well.
All right, Gordo, what else should we chat about, man? What's the key to catching big fish this time of year? I feel like another good thing about Gordo that I feel like he does a lot better than we do, at least better than I do, is graphing. I feel like he spends a lot of time in the console. Like he's really like paying attention to the environment, and he'll be like, "Dude, you see those fish busting over there? I see a group of shad." I'm like, "No, I didn't see that." And so it's really neat to go out with him to kind of see how he kind of breaks down water.
No, he says staying on the trolling motor, absolutely. So I went out with Gordo last summer. Appreciate it, Brim Bass and Beyond, y'all. Dan, who's jumping off here, appreciate you guys jumping on. They're very fat. I think he's talking about the fish, not us, hopefully. But he says fast. Yeah, so I actually got to go out with Gordo just one evening last summer, and he's a drop shot master. That dude can drop shot better than most of the guys I've ever fished with. Had him on the channel as well for just kind of one of these informal chats and got to learn some more about him. But they're very fast. Yeah, I would say, what is your experience with looking at live scope on bass compared to hybrids?
Me or Gordo?
Yeah, you. Both of you.
Yeah, I feel like those hybrids are moving around a lot faster on that forward-facing sonar and bigger blobs and all other good stuff. Where, I feel like bass are more relating to the bottom. But I don't know. It'd be interesting to fish like a spotted bass lake to kind of see them school it up and get on those with a drop shot. I think it'd be kind of neat. Need to go down towards Alabama, right? And because it's got a lot of good spotted bass fishery.
Yeah, man. That's probably one of the things I miss the most about living down there is chasing those Coosa spots. They half the time they behave like largemouth, just with how shallow they get. But Gordo says hybrid are always on the move. Yep, yeah, they are. It's why they have to eat so much because they're always moving. Their growth rate is a lot slower than largemouth, I believe, because they just move so much. They are so pelagic. But speaking of live scoping on like a herring lake, like Smith is a herring lake, so I'm kind of worried about my tournament in a few weeks here because if that guy's scoping, I have no idea what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. But you know how to catch stripers though, right? Down in Alabama.
Oh heck yeah, man! That's kind of my favorite fun fishing is catching a stripe in the shallow water with flukes. If you guys haven't looked at my channel and seen the videos I did this past summer on catching stripe on the Coosa, it's some of my favorite content that I've done. It is just so fun.
I don't know. Maybe we could talk to guys in the going and get Gordo out there, man. It'd be kind of cool to see on some big stripers. Although I think in his recent pictures, I think he's seen him post a picture of a stripe.
Yeah. The stripe population in Priest is getting there. I think we've seen some like mid to low 20s, which is a good sized fish for that lake.
Let's see, they're getting bigger. Yeah, it's pretty cool how the fishery that we have here and how they stock the lakes with, the stripers and hybrids and
Yeah.
And some of the local rivers have been stocking trout, right? And there's a release schedule on that, right, Alex? And so if folks don't know about that, maybe you can mention that.
Yeah, that's probably a good video topic for me to do is just talk about the volunteer fishermen's here. Finally, I made it. What's up, man? Appreciate you jumping on.
Dude, he's got a big fish in his picture there.
Yeah, that's a big one. Is that a smallie or a largie? I can't tell.
It looks pretty green.
It does look pretty big. Yeah, that might be a good video to do is to just show people how to look at their release schedules and then how to time when to actually go fish. there are a couple places where you can catch them really good, like almost all year. But there's a couple places where you really just want to go when they're stocked.
Volunteer fishing, welcome. We're just kind of chatting bass fishing here. You missed the Dale Hollow conversation. I'm not sure if you have anything specific you want us to talk about. It's just a couple of guys on this live stream chatting, and so we're jumping from topic to topic, whether it's clothing or fishing Dale Hollow for smallers, or fishing the creeks and all the good stuff. It's been fun.
Yeah, we got he's mentioning right now, volunteer fisherman Smalley, full moon of June on Dale Hollow. That's awesome. I'd love to hear that story sometime.
So is that like maybe June? I mean that's like post spawn, ain't it? Though I feel like that's kind of late for them, or maybe there's right in the spawn, and maybe that's what he's mentioning about full moon.
Well, probably the reason he's mentioning full moon is that a lot of the fishing on Dale Hollow in the summer is night fishing. That water up there is so clear, and the rocks at the bottom of the lake heat that water up sometimes above 90. So really the only time that you have luck fishing there is at night in the summer.
Interesting.
But those smallies, man, they spawn earlier and deeper than the largemouth and the spots do. So they're well into post spawn by June.
Do you have a tournament there this year?
I'm supposed to have 2, I believe, actually. I'm still deciding exactly what I'm fishing this year, but I will definitely be up there at least once.
You're saying correct, and the full moon brings them out. That's something I need to pay attention more. The lunar patterns and the barometric pressure and all the fun stuff. I was chatting with Mike that earlier today, trying to figure out, if it's a pre-front or post-front, and why these fish ain't biting, and why do we keep on going out there every weekend, and all the fun stuff. But it's fun, right?
There's something wrong with us. That's why we keep going. I don't know about the fish.
Oh man,
Good to have a Dale Hollow guy on the chat here. I bet he'll know about them old brown fish. We were talking about this book earlier, Billy Westmoreland. I'm sure he'll have something to say there. That's like I said, an old school resource on smallmouth bass fishing. But that's where the world record came out of, right?
Dale Hollow, yeah.
Yeah. So,
what was the weight again on that one?
It was 11:15. Yes, sir. Great book. See, there you go. The locals know, man.
I guess that was a big smallmouth caught up north this year too, right? I mean, I was thinking I'm surprised forward facing sonar hasn't had such an impact on smallmouth. I guess in those pro fishing, I mean, they're catching like over 100-pound bags or whatnot. But
yeah,
Josh Jones killing them in Texas,
Yeah, no, those largemouth, those floaters, those F1s they stock down there. That Texas has got it nailed with the big ones. But I think the reason you don't see as many double-digit smallmouths, I think that was a 10.3 or 10.4 caught on Erie this year. But in order for a smallmouth to get that big, they are like an ancient fish. I mean, like that fish is, you can't know exactly without getting some sort of genetic information or something. But it could be a 30-year-old fish, straight up. Like that is crazy. And how many fish in the world?
This is older than you, man.
It actually is, yes. Yeah, almost as old as you. And but just think about that. How many bass are going to make it that long?
Yeah,
it's amazing.
With us going out, I think again we're going to try to hit up Dale Hollow this weekend. I think I'm just going to try to run bluff wall patterns where the channel swings, and maybe at the mouth of some of those creeks and whatnot. Do you think that's a good pattern, or you think I need to go in some of those little creek? Because I feel like there's a bunch of little creek arms, there in Dale Hollow.
I would still, if I was going to tell you where to go, I'd still stick to the main lake. I think that's where those fish are relating to right now. But pick an area and just point to point to point to point. Try different rock structure. Try different depths. If you've looks like there's going to be some wind and some cold this weekend. That's when you want to be out there. It's not fun for you, but those fish bite a lot better when the weather settles. So that's what I would say.
Should be interesting, especially I picked up some new batteries for the Trello motor, and they did well at Percy Priest. But about
Yeah,
to drive
weekend,
2
right?
hours to, Dale Hollow, and so hopefully it don't give me any problems.
No, that's awesome. We got the volunteer fisherman saying float and fly is working right now, fishing from the flats, throwing towards the channel. That's very cool. You ever fish the float and fly?
No, Arrow does, my brother,
Yeah.
he's done that before. I think he actually caught something on the Cumberland on the float and fly, but I wonder what he
Awesome.
means by, from the flats thrown towards the channel. So I guess you would be on the bluff wall,
Yep.
throwing out deep, right?
Or sitting on a flat and then throwing out towards the channel. So it looks like he's probably relating to like where if there's two sides of the lake, like I was saying earlier in the chat. I don't think anybody here now was here back then, but you've got kind of two sides where we were. One side is that really steep, rocky, sharp stuff, and then the other side is that real gravelly, kind of more shallow stuff. But maybe he's talking about getting up on that side and then throwing out towards the channel.
Yeah, let me see.
You know, show your screen.
Let me see. Give me a second. I'll send you a picture of Jack compared to other lip lists. Yeah, I was trying to. I was looking at Navionics here.
Mm-hmm.
Chrome tab, Navionics.
Sitting in gravel beds, flats. Exactly what I was talking about.
But see, can you tell like the flats, like looking at Navionics like this? This right here is a river channel swinging into, deep spot.
So,
Sorry.
I zoomed out, but I can tell you, if you're going to find a flat, it's where the contour lines are more spread out, right? So when you see all the lines real close together, that means that contour is moving up very rapidly. But when you see them more spread out, that's when the depth is changing more gradually. So that's what you'd say a flat is.
Yeah.
So you got channel right there, and then you got a flat kind of next, sort of a flat. I don't know how shallow in that lake is relative. I mean, 40 feet shallow out there. So
deep. That's like 94 feet.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. He's a volunteer fisherman, dude, giving us some good juice right now. If you're still watching, you're getting some good info from him. It seems like he's at least somewhat local. But you can go on Google Earth and see. So I'm sure everybody in the chat knows this, but you can go on Google, not Google Maps, but on Google Earth. You can go in. There's videos on doing this on YouTube. But you can go on and scroll back in the time from when these satellite images were taken, and you can see the different water depths, winter pool, summer pool, and you can find those flats that way. He's in Portland. Okay, cool. Not too far.
Let me see here. I'm trying to
pull up that Google Earth. Portland is actually where these, if you don't know about the Thunder Rocket Lures, that's where he's based out of, is Portland, Tennessee. You check those guys out on Facebook, Thunder Rocket Lures.
Don't see it on my see if you have any luck on your side, Alex. Like I don't see it as a tab for me to share.
Talking about Google Earth?
Yeah. Like I have it up, but I don't see it as an option to share it. I don't want to share my whole screen because then it'll be weird.
See if I can get it pulled up here.
Appreciate y'all staying patient with us as we just kind of talk bass fishing here. Again, this is our first live stream. Maybe I'll try to give everyone a little bit more notice next time, and we can kind of plan accordingly.
Yeah, I think we could probably do this at least every 2 weeks, if not every week. I'm pulling up Google Earth here, just waiting on it to pull up on the computer. Hopefully we can get it working. It's not quite wanting to pull up, but I'll share my screen and show you guys what I can.
I'm gonna try to send Gordo the link, see if I can get him on video here.
Can you see my screen?
Let me see here. Not yet.
It's taking it a second. Just struggling. We'll save this for another time.
Yeah.
But if you go into Google Earth, there's an option to use historical data and historical images, so you can scroll back out and and see what the lake looks like at different times of the year. It's really useful.
What were you saying, Alex? I was just responding to a message.
Oh, I was just talking about on Google Earth. I wasn't able to pull it up on my computer here. Maybe next time, but
Yeah.
There's a small tab that looks like a little clock with an arrow on it, and you click on that, and you can use historical images. So you can scroll back different times of the year and see where the water's at different pools. You can see those flats. You can actually do some homework and see them without being there.
Yeah. It looks like Alan's still on. I'm not sure if he dropped or not, but Alan, you can actually use Google Earth on like Percy Priest Lake. And right now it's at Winter Pool. You can really see how shallow some of those lakes are and
Yeah,
see some of those humps and whatnot. I think that'll really help you out on that hybrid fishing. And if Gordo's paying
absolutely.
attention, he'll tell you that, that stuff is super important and fish relate to that stuff,
It sure is.
Let's see, what else can we chat about? Have you a chance to talk about or watch the MLF team series yet?
I haven't watched it yet, man. I keeps. I'm pretty busy right now with everything going on, and that has just kind of fallen to the wayside. So, but I know you guys seem to enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, of course, my boy Jacob Wheeler ran off, with the tournament and whatnot. I don't want to spoil too much of that, but yeah, it was entertaining.
That would surprise no one, by the way. So, if you guys don't know, our kind of group of guy friends and some of our wives actually joined in on a little bet here with the MLF team series, and I haven't been able to watch it yet. But we basically just drafted different teams, and just having some good fun there, organized by Johnny.
What other kind of juice can we give him here? Volunteer
Mm.
fisherman. I know you talked a little bit about smallmouth. You got any largemouth tips for us? Fishing in the wintertime?
Talking about me?
No, volunteer fisherman. He was giving a lot of good juice out.
Yeah,
In
he is.
Portland, I guess. He with him being up north, there's another lake. I feel like just on the other side of Tennessee. There, I went to go fish a while back. I can't think of the name right now, but yeah, I
Fontana,
guess Fontana's more closer to
North
north.
Carolina.
Yeah, let me see if I can bring it up here. I won't do it. Try to keep everybody engaged here.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to keep them engaged. Let's see, what else is there to look at?
He says fish deep, and fishing deep takes a lot of patience.
If you look at my Del Hollow video, I, I mean, I cast it out and I just sat there, and I'm over there talking to Kevin, and we're having fun, having conversation, whatever. And then I go and like start to reel in a little bit, and there's a fish there, like Cumberland. That's north of Del Hollow. Is that what he's talking about?
That's what Mike mentioned. I think there's one just southeast of it. Let me see. What is this one? I took the dog. That's where my trim motor went bad, and I had to like drag it up the ramp. That was not fun. Barron
yeah,
River, where I went.
got it. Mike likes that place. I think he's been there a few times.
Barron River?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I don't know. He's old. He's been everywhere.
Got him. Yeah, he got it. He nailed it. Barron River Lake.
Yeah.
Nailed it in the chat. I don't know, man. I don't have. I'm trying to think if I've got any other juice to give out here. Let me run to the tackle closet and see.
Yeah, so as y'all can tell, I'm in the living room doing this chat. I'm trying to run some good Ethernet cable out to the garage so that I can kind of chat with y'all out in the tackle room so that I have all my baits close by. And today's not too cold out. Actually, it rained, so it brought in a little cold. But when it starts warming up, maybe we'll do some more of these out in the garage.
Yeah, because eventually we're going to run your network out there.
Yeah, dude. I tried. My father-in-law gave me the Wi-Fi extender. He's like, "Oh, try this," and of course, it didn't. It didn't work. So.
Now the problem with those, not to get deep into it, but it uses the same frequency that your Wi-Fi is using, so it's not really doing anything. Anyways, I did bring this out. I ordered these on Tackle Warehouse. You can't really see them that great. These little Cool Baits underspins. So this is the 3/16 ounce size with a little blade on there. I'm really looking forward to fishing these on Smith, casting up next to docks and just rolling them right by.
It looks like it's got a pretty cool jig head too, right? You got a lot of detail.
Yeah, it does have a lot of detail on it. Pull it up. Hopefully you guys can see it okay. It's got nice bait keeper. I like how the blade is offset from the body so that whatever trailer you put on here, it's not going to interfere with the blade. Really like that. Got a good little solid hook. Good little profile. We got Wade still in the chat. Hey, he subscribed to my channel. Appreciate it. We are almost to 280, so we're making some progress.
Yeah, Gordo sent me the crankbait, so I want to go ahead and show those, and then maybe we'll close it out in here in about 5 minutes because, like I said, I don't want my battery to die here.
Yep, sounds good. Wade says, I have a 10.5-foot kayak sit on top. I need to also get my confidence up fishing larger water. I'm more accustomed to small rivers and creeks. Any tips to adjust to bigger water? 106 subscribers. Keep it up, dude. Tips to adjust to bigger water. So, Johnny, I don't think either of us have a ton of kayak experience, right?
No, I mean, I tried to float the Harpeth and, but it wasn't really a fishing kayak. So, all right, I think this is showing up okay, right?
There you go. Awesome.
So yeah, that's what Gordo's using. Yeah,
so both those on the top. You got a Jackal. That looks like an Aruka shad right there. It might be a Jackal again. Yeah, that's a Jackal. Both of those. So you got I believe that's the TN50 and the TN60 maybe. And then you got it looks like a red eye shad. And then a rattle trap.
Bill Lewis rattle trap.
Yeah, old school. Those things, dude, they catch. One of the best days I had on Old Hickory was with Mike on a trap, and he knows how that went. As far as adjusting to bigger water, I think Stewart Creek on Percy Priest has like a real shallow area in the back. Am I right in saying that?
What was about Stewart's Creek?
I think there's a real shallow area back there in the back where you could potentially put in at one of the ramps and just, kind of get back in the creek there and then make your way out and still be close to some shallow waters. Any thoughts there?
I don't know. I don't think I fished Stewart's Creek a whole lot. I kind of stay around Smith Springs, and Smith Springs not bad to launch from. I think there's a lot of see a lot of rowboats around like Hamilton Creek or there's like a sailboat marine or something like that around there. But I see a lot of like with the rowboat type folks.
That's a good idea. Maybe go closer to a marina or a park like that. And when there's a lot of pleasure boaters around, that helps. Mike says, dude, what a great time fishing with you on Old Hickory. 7 keepers out of the grass in 40 minutes. It's one of those moments where like the light bulb comes on and you just slaughter them for a little bit there. It was fun.
Yeah. I'm surprised he's still awake.
I know. It's old man time.
Man, we've been picking on him so much. We better stop.
Yeah, I go on his boat way too much to be picking on him like this. I'm grateful for him.
Yeah, he's from Chicago. I mean, he might know some people. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah. If you guys do have any more questions that we don't get to tonight, look both of us up on social. I'm pretty active. I'm fairly active on Instagram. Try to put up at least one video. Like he says, like I said, bite me. Pretty active on Instagram. I put up at least one video a week on YouTube. That'll be more here in the coming months. But as we're starting to close up here. Oh, we got Gordo.
Yeah, man, I can't drop it without Gordo, man. Dude, Gordo, you got to put a plug in, man, since you've been giving all the juice.
Hey, can y'all hear me? Okay.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, man.
We got kids in the background, babies crying, so forgive me.
This is life.
Hey.
Yeah, so I want to go fishing with you, man. How do they find you?
BrianCarper.com. Go to BrianCarper.com and book a trip, and we'll make it happen. Hybrid and biting really good right now. It's been fun.
How you find just kind of just scanning or looking for the
man? And out of respect of other guides that, you know, guide with us, you know. Um, I try not to give away too much stuff, you know.
That's your
But
livelihood. Of course.
but you know, the key, you know, I heard you guys mention forward facing sonar. Um, um, I've had a lot of practice. I've had a lot of ups and downs, but the thing is, man, you know, I feel confident enough that I've learned the behavior of hybrid, how they move, and sometimes it's almost, you know, without sounding too arrogant here, or, you know, like I know it all. Sometimes you can almost predict where they're gonna come up shallow, you know. But I can catch them shallow and I can catch them deep, you know. Just because I'm in 60 foot of water don't mean I'm catching them in 60 foot of water, you know. I just know where you know what they're doing on that type of day. But you know, the first thing that I go looking for, of course, is bait. You know, but the one thing that I do it's funny because I just had a conversation about this with my uncle. One of the first things that I do when I get on the water is, and every part of the lake is different. Is I'll look at the depth that the bait is sitting at, and that can kind of help me determine, you know,
Where the fish are at.
where the fish are at, and if the bait is shallow enough, I know that they're gonna push shallow soon, you know. And if I'm around a group of fish, um, I'll just chase them down all day. I mean, I'll follow them. You know, sometimes you lose them, but you'll know the area. And of course, this time of year, you know, you can follow the birds. The birds help out a lot. But, you know, I also see a lot of people fishing places that you see the birds, but you don't know that you're getting played by the looms.
Yeah.
You know,
It
and
depends on what
so
the birds are doing.
the looms will push up a lot of bait, and birds will go crazy. And sometimes, you know, and I've learned a lot, and it's just really just time on the water. There's days that, you know, I'll had a bad trip, you know, or what I feel was not a very successful trip. The very next day, I'm out there on the water, and I'm trying to make adjustments and figure out what it was. You know, I found my go-to baits that I feel confident that I can go out on the lake any day and pull up a hybrid. You know, if I need to feed my family, I know I can go out any day and peel one up, you know. Um, and it's my, you know, but this year I kind of been using the Thunder rig. Sucks I lost two to some good 8-pound fish, you know, just breaking the arm off. And it's really when they got on the boat and they start doing all that crazy stuff, and you know, you're trying to get the hook off of them, and before you know it, you got wires going everywhere, and you know, before you try to bend them back, they just snap. You know, that happens with any A rig.
Yeah, that's just metal fatigue is all that is.
But no, the key is, man, you know, in the area that I chose yesterday, there was a bunch of boats there. But and my buddy that I was with yesterday, he was like, well, we need to be in that area, and I was like, well, wait, let's just, you know, I don't think they're that shallow. And he was like, well, why do you say that? I was like, man, I'm looking at the bait, they're not that shallow, you know. And before you know it, everybody's over there with the looms and the birds, and I'm way over here on the other side, and they start seeing me pull up fish, and then I got a big group of traffic coming, which is okay. It don't bother me, not one bit. But the fact is that I kind of knew that they would push up to this part of this side, you know. and I'll say this: there's a part of the lake right now that's so flooded with bait. You go in there right now, it tells you you're in 1 foot of water. That's how thick the bait is.
Yeah.
And my buddy wanted to fish that the other day, and I was like, nah, they're not here. I'm telling you, they're not here. And we left to another part of the lake where the water temperature was a little different, to about 3 degrees difference, and we just smoked them, you know. And sometimes it's, you know, with when you're overwhelmed with that much bait, I mean, it's hard to catch them, you know. It's really hard to catch them. And it's always been the areas that have pockets of baits and not too much concentrated bait. Pockets of baits that I've been doing good at.
Do you feel like that's similar for bass fishing?
Say what?
Do you follow that same pattern for bass fishing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The first thing I do is I look at whatever area of the lake. See, because here's the thing: you can run to one part of the lake, and bait's at 30 feet, right? But you'll go somewhere where it's a little warmer, and the bait's 10, 15 feet. You know, so now you got 2 different patterns that you can fish there, and so depends on how I feel and what I think is getting me the bite, you know. I will say this, you know, with bass, my number one bait that's been doing damage is the Demiki rig. I mean, you know,
Are you scoping them? Or are you seeing them on forward facing and then?
yeah, I'm seeing them on forward facing and oh well, you know, the other day when I went out and bass fish, you know, I caught them shallow, and when I'm fishing that shallow, I just turn my Mega Live off, you know, especially on our lake. It's just nothing but a big rock. I mean, it's really hard to see stuff, but you know, I was catching them in 2 feet of water, you know, and I just throw that Demiki rig and tight line back, you know, but you know, there are many ways to catch them. You know, I tried that technique down in Chickamauga, and I didn't have no luck. And then I put on that jackal. That was I saw a bunch of bait, and the first fish that I caught spit up a shad, and it was so small. And I put on that jackal because that jackal, the profile is so small, but you know, you could take a Bill Lewis rattle trap, let's say a 3/8 ounce, you know, and you'll take a jackal 3/8 ounce, and the jackal would be so much smaller than that Bill Lewis. And I started throwing that size, and that's how I was catching them on Chickamauga on that rattle trap. But I tell you this, my trolling motor was dragging in the mud.
That's awesome in the wintertime to be doing that.
Oh yeah, I was shocked because I'm thinking, hey, man, I'm trying to fish deep, you know, because this is what you know to do, right? But it I guess from that cold snap and then having all that warm weather, I guess it just made them hungry to go shallow. I mean, you know, but you had a lot of grass that I was fishing too, so it was just fun. But it left me with the taste in my mouth that I said I gotta go back because I know those big ones are up there.
Yeah, dude.
And so I'll be there Thursday,
Awesome.
trying to catch them again. But yeah, if you guys, like I said, to anybody, you know, look us up, briancarper.com. Bass are biting really good. I mean, Brian just had a trip, I think it was yesterday, and man, they had an absolute whack fest with bass. I mean, it was just, you know, all good size too, you know. And
And you have a new nitro too, right? So
yeah,
folks that are booking a trip with
yeah,
it, you know, you're
yeah.
going to be riding on the nitro.
You know, and I just keep, you know, giving my wife headaches because I keep adding stuff to the book, you know. But I just added the target lock, which I'm still learning, but it is not something I'm used to, but I have found it very, very useful in windy conditions. You know,
Because you could spot lock and the boat be moving, control motor moving around, and you could still stay locked in to something.
yeah, you know, and most of y'all may know this already, but um, the difference between that and like a DD26, you know, is the fact that I have a Minn Kota iPilot Link trolling motor, and my target lock syncs with my trolling motor, so I can have it do the same thing my trolling motor's doing, just like if my Mega Live was still hooked up to my trolling motor, and I can pan around, look around. And if I see structure or something that, you know, I'm about to fish and it's windy, I can hit target lock, and whatever that trolling motor does or whatever that boat does, that target lock just stays right there on whatever I want to fish, which is pretty cool. And I thought that was pretty unique, you know. So that it's still a learning curve, but I think I've got it dialed in um, pretty good, right where I want it, to where, you know, we had fun the last 2 days. We couldn't get enough, you know. In fact, I was tired of catching fish. I was like, I'm ready to go back.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
I think we're on that note real quick. Alan was asking if you had a YouTube channel. I know you try to like record stuff every once in a while.
Well, you know,
I
again, I as you can see by the title of my thing, the YouTube channel is going to be called Faith and Fishing. You know, I chose that name because I'm trying to incorporate, but I'm trying to incorporate my faith aligned with fishing. You know, and how you can get people to even just have the conversation about Jesus or anything like that.
So it's coming.
So I'm still like in the process of the content is there. You know, the fact that I can create the content, that's there. It's just really just about how I want to do it. I want to do something different. You know, that's you know, I don't want to reinvent the wheel basically and talk about a bait and say, oh, this is how you fish it and this and that, you know, when so many people are doing that. You know, I want to be able to go out there, fish, show some great content, but at the same time just have a wonderful conversation about, you know, our faith and things like that. And just to also get people to appreciate, you know, that the nature that's out there, you know, and the fact that we're able to say thank you God for allowing me to use your lake to catch your fish. You know, I mean, it's just something that that I'm working on, and I just haven't figured out how to put the pieces together yet, you know, because I want it to be right.
Yeah, I know you will though.
Yeah, I mean, we can't wait for that.
Yeah. So when are we gonna have you back on the channel to talk about your fishing trip on Chick?
Man, anytime.
You said you're going out there Thursday. You want to try to do like a Saturday night type deal, or maybe next Monday?
I can. I'm doing.
You gotta give something these folks something to look forward to, man. Because I know everybody's gonna be sitting on the edge of the seat.
And I'm going out there making an all day event. You know, from sun up to sundown. You know,
You're gonna run Matt Allen or Tim Little out there and from Tactical Basking. That'd be cool.
Is that where they're from? I thought they were in Florida for some reason. I do see a lot of their stuff on Chickamauga, but to be honest, I stopped following a lot of people that just promote baits. You know, not that's I think they have great content, but it's just like I saw too many of the same thing, and it was just becoming overwhelming. You know, because it makes me want to buy that bait. You know,
I was gonna say, I think your wallet's probably thanking you for unfollowing them.
I mean, I got so much stuff. You know, I got so much stuff that it's ridiculous, and a lot of stuff that I probably won't even use anymore. But I've spent so much money on. You know,
I think we all understand that.
You know, it is what it is. It's fishing.
Yep.
I know it.
And then again, I'm not sure how long I have this live stream going on. We're going at 1.5 hours, and not sure how much battery I have, but I feel like we've ended on a good note here, man. I can't wait to hear about your trip. Hopefully, we can have some more of these conversations if schedules allow and align and all the fun stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. Looking forward to Alex's BFL.
Yeah.
That's gonna be exciting, and I think Alex is the one thing that I like about is that you don't see too much co-angler side of things. You know, and I think a lot of people that are co-anglers or looking to be co-anglers in the BFLs, you know, kind of get to see what, and I bet that's tough for you, Alex. The fact that, you know, you may get on somebody's boat and they're like, I don't want to, no cameras, man. I don't want, you showing my spots and all this. And, I bet that's kind of difficult, you know.
I've had it happen, but I'm always respectful. I always ask if I can film, and I've had guys tell me, hey, I've had this stuff for 20 years, and I don't want it filmed, and I'm totally fine with that. It doesn't offend me at all. The idea is hopefully I can still tell a good story, even if I don't have footage of catching fish or anything like that. But I appreciate it, man. It's fun making them from the co-angler, because you're right. You don't get a lot of the same perspectives from other channels.
Yeah. A lot of people want to know how to fish from the back of the boat when somebody's sitting up there with live scope on the one spot. Like, I don't know what to fish for.
We mentioned that earlier in the stream. I don't know if you were here, but
I came in late.
Yeah, so we mentioned that a little bit because I've got a tournament coming up on Smith Lake, which is a herring lake, and I just have a feeling, it hasn't happened to me yet, where the guy in the front is up there scoping. I just have a feeling that this might be the one. I'm gonna have to put my head down and just figure something out.
Hey, well, good luck to you, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, and Johnny, make some content, man.
All right, brother. I'm just glad just to be chatting with you, man. It's been a minute, but we'll catch up again here soon. Appreciate everyone. Until next time, guys.
Yeah.
Talk to you later.
Thanks, guys.
See ya. Bye.